not too bad. What's up, guys? I can fix it a little. Bring it down. What is up, Nathan? And then we have Woodpecker Arborist. Awesome. I dig your name. That's cool. Didn't really have anything like major going on. Just figured I'd kind of check in with you guys. What's up, John? And see what you guys were up to. And it was actually, I don't, damn, my table is so nasty right now. So cluttered up. I don't get on Facebook very much, but I feel like there's a lot of good like groups that you can get on. Learn some from them, but you're gonna have to have some thick skin, and that's just kind of the way it is. I don't know who it was that always talks about me having steel shirts, but whoever that was, I wore a new shirt. Just I'm gonna wear a different steel shirt every time I can remember, because I bet I have like 20 or 30. So how you doing, BR? Salvador, what's up, buddy? And then we have Caleb and Steve. Cool. Yeah, like I was saying, them groups, they're really cool. There's, if it wasn't for those groups, I probably wouldn't have a YouTube channel now. I ran into Jaden Anderson. He's the one that started Tree Life and New August. I watched Jaden's videos and they completely inspired me to do it. Then he introduced me to August's videos, and then it just kind of went on from there. I'm sure August has inspired a lot of the people that do these videos, and I'm sure Jaden has inspired a lot of them too. But check out my super ported hot sauce. Right on. You have a new ported saw. But yeah, I'm getting off. What's up, free thinking? I'm in them groups, and I just in general, I see a lot of like simple mistakes that are made when it comes to rigging. Um, what the hell? No way. Whoa, hang on. Whoa, John. Ah, man. Thank you. I appreciate the hell out of it. um, yeah, just thank you. I don't know what else. I appreciate it, and it is very unexpected. So when that happens, it blows my mind. Maybe I should practice and think of something to say when that happens, because I look like an idiot every time. But yeah, I wanted to go over some simple things when it comes to rigging down a tree that can change everything. Um, the way it responds, the amount of strength, how big you can rig, how little you should rig. Um, I put this as part one because I'm sure that this is gonna be a topic that we go into more in depth, I think, and explain more as those kind of topics come up. It's it's an endless discussion because of so many different techniques. But we're not going to so much focus on techniques as much as we're going to kind of focus on setup and why, with the correct amount of setup, the correct setup, the technique is almost it's null and void. It's not as important. Like if you span rig, if you know, let's say double whip, or just all those, it's not as important if the setup is done correctly. So a lot of you guys, let me try to keep up with comments here. John, you still blew my mind, dang it. When are you going to get that monkey beaver saddle, buddy. I got mine new and wanted to. You know what? That will be the next saddle I probably get, but I love my Weaver saddle. I really do. I love the connection, the bridge. Um, I'm personally not sold on any rope bridges. I'm not a fan. I believe if I was to do one, I would definitely want a double bridge. But I prefer that real thick webbed bridge that my saddle has. So I'll probably keep my saddle for a while, and I don't know. I would like to have a monkey beaver, and I'm sure it's lighter and probably comfy and stuff, but I'm just partial to my saddle. I'm not much on change. I'm that kind of guy. If I can avoid change sometimes, ah, free thinking. Thanks for videos. That is awesome. That's the whole point of the channel, man. So I'm glad you get some out of it. Thank you. I appreciate the super chat. That's crazy and blows my mind. Just I don't know. Here, you guys are embarrassing me and just grab you some lunch in your next job. I appreciate the tip. Awesome, man. I will. I will. We have we have a trimming job to do tomorrow. Would you guys be interested in seeing like a trimming video? So it would be spikeless. It's not as exciting as removals and stuff, but I could make a video from it. I think I have SD cards that are emptied out, and it'll be some rigging and different setups. So you guys kind of let me know what you think. So broke bridges myself, good old Weaver. Yeah, the Weaver, Steve. It used to have the rings that came together for the butt seat. Then when I switched from them rings, which I just feel are so safe and secure, to that web bridge, I could trust that web bridge because it's bomb proof. It actually has these little X's of red on it, and when those wear off, you know that you're getting to the end of that bridge, so you have to keep an eye on it. But all right, I'm gonna try to get on to this. Here we go. Hell yeah, bring. Okay, all right, guys. Well, I'll see what I can do. I've never done any pruning or trimming strictly. Yeah, it's a specialty thing, to be able to sell yourself as that one climber in your area that can access a tree without putting spike holes all in it and trim properly, instead of topping things, you're bringing limbs back to the best lateral limbs, you're getting lateral growth, stuff like that. So I don't want to teach people how to trim trees, but I want to help the guys that do it be better at it. So that's maybe I skipped some of the basic stuff, but let's get into this rigging discussion. Now, I can set this up so you guys are basically just seeing what I'm doing here. All right, so we have our tree, goes up. Let's see, it forks over here, and we'll probably keep this tree structure on all these. That way, I can keep the examples all the same too. So let's see here. All right, so the prominent fork here, and it comes over the branch here. And let's just say it went like this. All right, now I'm gonna put an X down here, and this is my porter wrap. Promise I could draw better if I wanted to, maybe, but you guys don't care about it, I hope. So what I was saying here, we have our X here, which is our porter wrap, and let's say our objective. Let me make sure this is in there. Okay. Let's say our objective here is to remove this limb here. Now, this is something I see all the time. To remove this limb, we'll use an X for a porter wrap, and we'll use just a circle for like a ring or a pulley. So what we're going to do is, this is how I'm seeing it a lot of times. I even seen one today, a very skilled climber that I find to be a very skilled climber, still made this kind of mistake and didn't know what his mistake was, and ended up actually blaming the rope guy, which God knows I've done that just as much as anybody. He blamed the rope guy for the problem and said he didn't let it run, but it's a video, and the video was obvious that the guy did let it run. So, here it is. The reason for his problem was he did this. He put a ring there. Let's actually make this a little bigger. And he put a ring there. All right. And here's the part he wanted to cut off. So, we'll use this red marker here. He's got his roll of rope down here, you know, all of his rope. He put it over into the porta wrap. Then he took it straight up to that ring, and tied it on. Okay, so I don't want to get totally behind with you guys on these comments too. If anybody's, yeah, you guys talk along amongst yourself too and keep yourself entertained. But all right, you guys following me so far? This is the problem with it. All of this area is negative space. This space here is taken away from your strength on your branch. Where you would be able to rig this whole piece here. I'll show you. This is what he ended up cutting off. So he cut this. It come down, and when it impacted, because it's negative rigging. Now, when it went down and it hit, it took this entire branch, shoved it downward, and launched him up in the air. And luckily he was lanyarded in. Ended up underneath the branch, somewhere down here in that area, after his ring or pulley, and dropped his chainsaw, broke his chainsaw, I do believe, and said the reason that it shock loaded that branch was because of his rope tender, and that his rope tender made a mistake and didn't let it run. Okay, that's where the problem's at. I did let it run, but when that branch come over, it impacts what it does is it impacts the first point first. The porta wrap's the last thing to take any impact. It impacts this ring, then it impacts this ring, then it shot straight to the porta wrap. Look at all of this area that was bypassed and all the strength that is in this area that could have been used. Instead of using that strength, it was completely bypassed and made the branch here weak. So the bend point was halfway out on the branch. That branch bowed, shot him backwards, shot him up in the air. Luckily he held on, didn't get hurt. So now let me show you an example of what, well, let's just say we're here. With the addition of an X-ring here, or here, that would change the angle of all this. So instead of it coming down there, it ends up running over, goes to there, then goes to there. So let's pretend now that's not there no more, okay? Now there's no more negative space. The guy, when he did it, he says, I set up a fishing pole setup, that's what it's called, a fishing pole. And he says, and the guy didn't let it run. The guy let it run. I'm 100% for sure. I've watched the video a billion times. So, because of that negative space, that branch bent. So if he could take that, sorry, I'm jumping all over the place. If he could take forces from this branch and travel it down the branch and down the trunk to the porter wrap, you're now using all this strength here. That would be better. But even better than this, I'll show you. Let's take that same exact setup there, and I'm going to put this one kind of back over here so I can compare it, and so I can look and see how my tree was. Right there, right there. Okay. Alright, so now, instead of this branch here getting yanked down, it's going to travel this way always. That branch goes lateral. We can change the direction the branch gets pulled, twice as much strength out of that branch. So instead of it pulling down in the fishing pole method, what we want is to take that branch and make it go backwards. And we can do that by using a redirect. We have our porter wrap down here. We still want to trim. We still want to trim this part. And we have our main ring that was there. Now, he could take this branch and change the direction of it with the addition of one ring back here. Now, when we go to take this, and let's say, even with it being lateral almost, just flat across, being you know, across from it, even, we could even be here. But instead, let's just say we want here. Now, look at the angle of our rope now. It goes from our water roper, it goes up to our ring, to that ring, now to it, and it's wrapped around. Alright, now, when that branch comes off there this time, instead of this branch here going down, it's now going to pull it up. It's not going to go down. And the reason it's going to pull it up is because of the second redirect. This redirect here changes the way this branch responds. So these 2 points are going to come together. This branch here is going to travel this way, and this branch here is going to travel that way. They're going to come together, the 2 points. Which you're taking a branch that goes over, and then let's say it droops down, and you're taking it, and instead of it going with its weak point, which would be down with gravity, it's now being pulled up. Makes it 10 times stronger. You have the union here that's not going to suffer from the downward pull like it would if you fish and pulled it. So an extra addition of, let's say, another ring over here. Let's say we're worried about this branch. It doesn't look too hot. It's kind of small. So instead of us running it to there, we'd run us a ring over here, and we could take it up to this, to that. Now this branch would be, it almost going to be stationary. It's going to have this one pulling this way, then this one pulling the other way. So it's going to keep it stationary by changing its direction. Your first point is major. Your last point is major. These are your 2 major points. You have as many redirects as you, but these are the 2 that's going to change everything. your first, which is going to, tell the direction. And you just have to understand that the 2 points are going to want to travel together. And the only reason this branch can stay stationary is because it has one pulling from both directions. So it's not going to allow it really to go any direction. But you just have to remember that this ring changes the direction of this, and this ring changes the direction of this. You can take a branch that's weak if it was going downward and make it strong by pulling upward. This negative space is always bad. This is a no-no. I hate this. When you're rigging, let's say your branch comes down and it gets all tangled up in your rope here. You're wasting all this. You say this is useless to you for some reason. You would rather rig off your porter wrap and this little branch. That doesn't make any sense. You have all the strength in the trunk and in the middle that you're just not using. So I don't know if that makes sense. I mean, I hope it does. I'm trying to think of another way that I could somehow explain that. Did that make sense? Let me see. I'm sorry. I'm so behind on these. Oh my god, man. Incorporate a safe block anywhere to add friction to the tree, or would that be stupid? No, not stupid. I think a friction device like that, it can be used as a redirect, but you're just really going to use the one ring. But I use it at the base. Instead of a porter wrap, I'll use that. You want it somewhere where you can get hands to it quick so that you can adjust the amount of friction. Now, if you just always want that much friction, say it goes up to a strong point and you want to put that safe block at that strong point in the tree and cause friction there, an excessive amount of friction there, there's probably cases that would call for that, and maybe you would want to do. Say you're going multiple trees and you transfer to this tree and you want all your friction here, but you want to redirect over here. I've seen scenarios where that would be possible, Steve, so that's not out of the question. Horizontal. Yes, that is the word I was looking for. Thank you. Awesome info, gonna run. Right on. Hey, free thinking. Thank you for the super chat, man. I really appreciate it. Perfect. Awesome. Just use the porter wrap at the point of the last ring and get her done. That's yeah. No. Yeah. I can't. Like, the negative space thing. I can understand it if you're dealing with just this huge branch, but still you're dealing with when that branch comes back, it tangles in your rigging line, and when this comes down right here, and let's say, here, let me kind of draw one to where that branch is being cut. Dang it, I just put it on there. Now, here's where your angles start to play a big part. Now you have this. You have your ring here. You have your water rope. It goes to your porter wrap. Go straight up to your ring. And then to your branch that's tied off. So, now, in this area here, the distance, the middle point of between these two ropes is the angle that you're actually pulling on this branch. So if this, let's say that's down, and when it comes down, it's going to be more over kind of here. But still, no matter what, from this point to this point, the middle point is going to be here. And you're pulling down there on a branch that's horizontal. Which there's not a worse spot to pull on that horizontal branch than there. That is the worst spot to pull. So just, it's all that negative space, and that's what I call it. I just call it negative space. It's just not being utilized, and it can be and make things a lot safer. I get questions sometimes about why I rig kind of big, or what would make me want to rig big, and that, I think people are going on. If you try this and utilize this in your rigging, you'll be surprised at how strong a branch can be when your setup is correct. So, you know, maybe try to utilize it, in maybe your next attempt at rigging some stuff down. Let me know what you got from it. If you have any other questions about it, but I'm sure that after I finish this live feed, there will be things that I think of that I wanted to tell you guys. And this wasn't very thought out. I just out of the blue was like, you know what? I'm gonna get on here and talk to everybody and discuss that. So it's kind of my pet peeve, and I see a lot of it in the industry. And just because I haven't said anything to you about it doesn't mean it didn't bug me when I seen it. So that's just that's just me. But like I said, you can get away with that. If that branch is so big that you use that technique, I'm not saying that it can't be used. It's quick. It's easy, and if the branch is a huge branch, you're rigging little stuff off of it. Why not? You're not worried about a huge swing that would bring it back into your rigging path and wrap in your rope. Why not? So I'm not saying it can't be used, but I'm saying in serious situations where you're having to cut a good sized branch, I don't like it. So, but there's a lot of things that I'm not a fan of double lanyards either. But hey, other people are. So, and I'm not saying that my idea here is the best and that it's correct and perfect, but I'm saying this could help a lot of people. But it's, can I explain it good enough that you guys can understand? Because I know that it works and I know that it's good information, but I don't know if I explained it good enough. So, rig from the tree, no base anchor. No base anchor. Ooh, I don't know about all that. I've been there. Um, the job that I just put out the first half. Um, I'm getting some wild questions or comments. I That was me taking a step back. I didn't have the crew. It was during a nationwide lockdown, so I'm looking. I'm happy to be working, but I'm not going to overcomplicate it. So I went to the basics. I went to piecing that tree out, using dog leash, hooking things to their self, and doing a complete. Which normal times you're not going to see any of my videos. They're going to be, I'm going to use rigging, and you're not going to see me do the old school cut and chuck. But you're going to see that in this video. I just kind of reverted, took back to just the old school ways and said, I just need to get this tree down. I'm not going to overcomplicate it. I'll just do this, chuck it down, and clean up. And it was a bad tree. It was a noodle. So I'll get the other half of that put out. So I just wanted to kind of make that clear that I was being very, very simple with my techniques and with everything I did on that tree because of the situation. Uh, would you put pulley blocks in with the rings? Are you asking if blocks or pulleys can be used instead of the rings? Because if that's what you're asking, yeah. But you have to remember, a block or a pulley is completely different thing as opposed to a ring. A ring creates friction. A block or pulley gives a mechanical advantage. So it makes things move faster, but gives a wider range of control. So it, you know, stretches ropes and stuff. That's why I'm not a fan of blocks unless I'm lifting, or pulleys. If I'm not lifting something, I just want constant friction at the points that I want them at, so that I can get the most out of my rigging, and that's what rings give me. So if that's what you're asking, yeah, you can use blocks and pulleys and as a substitute to the rings. Yeah. What if you need that secondary rigging point, but it leaves you very little time? What if you need that secondary rigging point, but it leaves you very little time in? Oh, very little tie-in. Um, like you're saying that second point that we brought it back. Let's say you're tied in there and you don't want to be at that. I can understand that. That's where you'll tie in high, and you'll bring that point down below it into a stronger. You wouldn't want to put it up there by your tie-in point. I try to avoid any of being tied in. That's why in that case, instead of doing this one, maybe we're tied into that, and we totally bypass this one because we don't want to mess with our tie-in point, but we use the one behind it or the one over here. You know, so we're going from there to there still. It's still giving the same movements that we want. So, yeah, that's a good topic, good point. You know, I try to avoid being tied into to what I'm rigging from. You know, guys that deal with pines and stuff like that, stem trees, you can't really avoid that. But with mine, they usually have a canopy. I try to avoid it at all costs. You know, if I didn't do that, I'd probably been ripped out and wouldn't be making videos a couple weeks ago. So, thanks, Vance. I'll go do a quick video. Look forward to that. Right on, buddy. Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, um, I actually had a setup at one point. It's on my Instagram, where it's a rig and ring on one side and a pulley on the other. So what I did is I just took my straight. Let's see if I can get an example here. Choose this. Let's say this is just like a rigging strap, and we put a ring here, and let's just say it's a straight sling. Well, on the end of that straight sling, I tied a loop here like an alpine butterfly, and I hung a block here, so I could make it retrievable. But what I wanted was I ran into the block first, then into the ring, because from my porter wrap to the block was giving me a mechanical advantage. So only problem is when you go to retrieve them, they hit together. Most blocks are like metal, and the rings are aluminum, and they're oxidized, so they chip them trying to retrieve them together, clanking them together. It's it's doable though. It's very doable. Yes, very little treat. Wait, I think I can do that. Right on. What's up, Rob? But yeah, if you're looking to, you have rings and you have that single ring, the addition of that block on the other side can make it retrievable, and at the same time can give you a way greater bend radius, which is a good thing. You don't get the smush in your rope, and it's not as easy to break. So yeah, Steve, if you're looking for like little stuff like that and little tricks, the guy to look up is Giorgio Fiore. It's spelled with G. It's Giorio. and then Fiori's like Fiori, think. But he is a wizard. If you want to know the tricks of the trade when it comes to anything SRT, he's forgot more than I'll probably ever know. The dude, his brain works another way. He has special techniques and retrievable, like his retrieval systems for redirects and stuff are so complicated, but he makes them look very simple. But it is French, I think, or something like that. I think he's like, I don't know. He speaks English when I talk to him, but most of their videos, I think, is like French or something. I don't know. Spanish? Who knows? He don't speak English all the time. So. But yeah, you should check him out. Just Giorgio Fiori. He's and for those of you that like rigging rings, Giorgio has, it's called the Fiori ring, and it's an one enormous ring, and it's bigger than beast rings, and the ring actually, if you watch his videos, you can rig from the inside channel of the ring plus normal way of the ring. So you're getting he gets two rigging points off of one ring. It's something that I can't explain. You have to see it to understand it. But he's a wizard. I would suggest anybody go check him out. You guys have heard me ramble long enough. I want to say thanks to John and to Free Thinking for the super chat. I really appreciate that. You know, that money just goes back into the channel. I'll put it into it somehow. Yeah, like I said, I'll probably think of a lot of things I wanted to say when I get off here, but that's just the way this whole thing works. So I hope everybody's doing good, safe, and just got to the house like. Oh, Rob, we were discussing like space and rigging, like this, all that space right there. If you watched, or if you get on Tree Life, or it's one of the groups, there was a video today where somebody got chucked all over the place and thrown and whipped, and because of his rigging. But I just thought it was a good discussion to have. It's something I wanted to talk about for a while, and didn't really know how to approach it or how to discuss it. I'm sitting here staring at this big old dry erase board. That's what I should have used. But yeah, whatever. Guys, I'm gonna get off here. I appreciate you guys giving me your time, like always. I really appreciate the super chatters, and I will get to work on the second part of that video. I'll get it out real quick. That way we can go on to the next thing. I have some good stuff for you guys. A few of you said that you would like to see a pruning video, so we'll probably record tomorrow and try to put something together with it. So, thanks again, guys. I'll see you soon. Stay safe.